For your skin tone mixing chart, you will be mixing a variety of colors for each row. And you're going to want to look at each column for how much white to add to your tints, midtones, and shades, your darkest ones. And each row is a different skin tone for yellowish, pinkish, orangish, our cool browns, and kind of a purple brown. All right, but we're first going to start with the yellowish skin tone. So paints you're going to need are white, yellow, orange, red, and black. And what you want to do to start is start with your tints. That would be the best way to start because it'd be a lot easier with your tints first. So I'm going to get some white and then some yellow. I'm going to mix that in. And I don't want this to be like a dandelion yellow because it wouldn't look natural. So I'm going to get that light yellow over here, mixing that. And then I'm going to come over here to my red, orange, and black and make a nice warm brown. And to make brown, I'm going to get black, red, and a little bit of orange. Scoop that on there. Get a really good mix. So I know that this nice warm brown is going to be very strong and overpower my yellow tint. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that right on my brush, just a little bit. All right, and I might add just that tiny amount on there and then mix it in. And already that helped tone down the vibrancy of the yellow. All right, so now that I have my really bright yellowish tint, I'm going to go over to the first box and then fill in that box. And it's okay if it's not quite in the lines, but I'm just going to make sure it's really nice and full there. So now that I have the first one done, I can just keep adding my brown to the yellow tint. So I'm going to go in again, get a little bit more brown on my brush, and then mix that in. And that's why it's a lot easier to start with your tints versus starting with your dark shades and then keep adding and adding your whites on there. I don't know if you noticed this, but when I added brown, you're going to lose a little bit of that vibrancy of your color. So I need to go in with a little bit of yellow again so I can keep that richness there. So I might add a little bit more yellow. There we go. And zoom out. And you definitely want to compare your colors and see how you're doing. If you make one that's a little bit too dark, perhaps you want to put that in another box over. I think it looks really close, and it does, so I'm just going to put that right in that next one. All right. And what you're going to do is kind of repeat that same process of adding a little bit of your brown and then a little bit of your main color in there. I got a little bit too dark. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow again. Mix that. Kind of scoops up my brush to kind of compare. And then place it on the chart. So I'm going to kind of quickly go through this to show you what it might look like overall. I'm going to get a lot more brown to mix that yellow. Make sure you mix it really well or else your color might be a little bit patchy. So our mid-tone, our halfway point, is where we're at now. So now it's going to be even a little bit more difficult to continue adding that vibrancy of the yellow with the darker browns. So yep, I want to make sure I keep scooping that yellow for that darker tones. Kind of compare where I'm at, place it on the chart. And I tell you what, if you're unhappy with one of your boxes, let it dry. And you can actually go over it again with the color that you have in mind. Like if this is too dull of my darker mid-tone, then once it dries, I can add a little bit more yellow over top of that. So I kind of ran out of brown, so I'm going to make a little bit more here on the side. I'm going to mix in with my other color. Get a little bit more yellow because that red is very overpowering and I lost that yellow richness. Ceramite. So I think these two are very similar, my mid-tone, my almost dark. So I'm actually going to have to make this one darker. I'm going to get a little bit more black in there to mix. Mixing really quickly. Nice and even. Now let's see where we're at. There we go. That's a little bit better, right? So I'm going to put that on there. For your darkest shades, it doesn't have to be black, like your super darkest ones. It's just going to be just the darkest end that you get to, while still keeping the color that you're going for. So now I'm going for my darkest yellow. Might need to add more yellow there. Yeah, so it looks like my darkest is about the same as my almost dark, so I'm going to add more black to that for sure. And I think I lost that yellow vibrancy, so I'm going to let this black one dry, and then I can just go over it again just a little bit there. There. Alright, and that's an example of our first skin tone chart.